The big backs. The NFL's forgotten 240-plus pound runners. The big guys, LeGarrette Blunts, Jerome Bettis's, the Franco. Well, I don't think Franco, but Mike Allstott's, Mike Tolbert's. You know what I'm saying? And Eddie Lacy's. You know what I'm saying? Them type of guys. I'm pretty sure Blunt was 240.
A prototypical NFL running back. What do you see in your mind? You probably think of someone like Saquon.
I'm going to be honest. When I think of no, it's not me, motherfucker. When I think of a prototypical running back, just stock, I would say I think of a Saquon, a CMC type of back. Like 5'11", 5'10", 200 pounds maybe. Excuse me. Something like that.
A well-built, dense runner that has strength, speed, agility, quickness, and nearly every other factor
needed. Just a body type. Or like, that's what I think of.
Needed to be one of the best running backs in the NFL. Or maybe you think of someone like Jahmyr Gibbs. Not as physically imposing as Saquon, but still has
Gibbs can fit in that category too.
Elite explosiveness and quick cuts to make defenders miss on a dime so he can break off huge runs for his team.
I just think of about 5'10", 5'9", 5'11", somewhere in that category, because you don't want a big-ass back like Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry obviously was good, great, amazing. But just like off of just stature, them big backs are cool. I usually want to go, 5'9", 5'10", maybe like 205, 210.
The
max 210.
Running back position made a true resurgence this past season following years of mind-numbing discussion surrounding the decline of the running back in the NFL. And this rushing success in 2024 was a swift reminder for us fans that this position is still as important as ever. And although we have some incredible backs in our game today, the true golden era for the running back position in the NFL was in the 1990s to the early 2000s. During this time, we had some of the most prolific runners of all time, including Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk, Sean Alexander, Priest Holmes, and the list just goes on.
Damn. This is an era for sure.
And on. And with these teams rushing the ball an average of 28 times during this era, these players were the focal point of their respective offenses and MVPs in our league. And I find the running back position so fascinating because you have so many different kinds of running personalities and body types that can all be elite at the position. For example, you have someone like Sean Alexander, 5'11", 230, which I'd say is the prototypical size for a bell cow back like himself. But on the other hand, you have someone like Barry Sanders, who is 3 inches shorter.
Cordero, he just got older, man. That's it.
And nearly 30 pounds lighter than Alexander, and widely considered one of the best running backs of all time. But my favorite physical profile for a running back that also saw its golden era during this same stretch of time was the big back.
This nigga shouldn't have been this good, if we're being real.
During this era, we saw players that have become extinct in the modern NFL. 200.
These niggas is walking CTE, just
40-plus pound running backs that were the lead backs on their respective teams. And not only were these players big, but they coupled their size and power with agility and finesse needed to play the running back position at a high level. And these players also gave us some amazing big guy nicknames like The Bus for Jerome Bettis, A-Train for Mike Allstott, and Natrone Refried Means, which was coined by Chris Berman, but later changed to Natrone Means Business because, well, obviously. These backs were so unique and stood out even in an era with some of the best rushers that the game has ever seen. So let's take a look at some of the big backs that came before this crop of players, how these bruising runners evolved throughout the years, and why we no longer see this archetype of runner in our league today. But before we ever had the bus, or A-Train, the NFL had big running backs like Jim Brown, Bronco Nagurski, Larry Zonka, and Marion Motley. These players, whose careers spanned from the 19...
Look at this helmet. Fuck what he talking about. Nigga, do you see this helmet? Fuck. Fuck. Nigga, this helmet. Shit. Shit like a diaper. Bro. This shit like a diaper, bro. Jesus Christ.
30s to the late 1970s were some of the most dominant runners of their respective generations. From this group of 4 players, we saw 14 first-team All-Pro selections, 27,891 career rushing yards, numerous Super Bowl rings and NFL championships won, and they were all 230 plus pounds. Now this is significant for this time because, for example, in the 1930s when Bronco Nagurski was playing, the average weight for an offensive lineman was 220 pounds. So as a largest running back of his time, bigger than most linemen he was playing against, Nagurski dominated the run game with his size and physicality. And like most players during this era, he also played both sides of the ball as a standout defensive lineman and even played offensive tackle after injuries rather than sitting on the bench. Built different. After Nagurski, we had Marion Motley, who came in at a whopping 6'1", 238 pounds. Motley still holds the record for yards per carry for a running back at 5.7 yards.
Damn.
And was one of the first 2 African-American professional football players in the modern era. As a true bruiser,
I told you that goddamn helmet was a little fucking diaper.
Running back, Motley rushed for 8.2 yards per carry in his first season with the Browns and helped them achieve a perfect 15-0 record in 1948 while leading the league in rushing. In 1950, Motley set an NFL record that stood for 52 years as he rushed for 188 yards on 11 carries, averaging over 17 yards per rush. Shortly after Motley, we saw one of the best running backs of all time take over for the Cleveland Browns running back spot, which was Jim Brown. Weighing in at 200,
he looked like every nigga that was casted in Sinners.
32 pounds, Jim Brown was a force, rushing for over 100 yards per game for his entire career, scoring 100 touchdowns in only 93 games, catching for 2,500 yards and 20 touchdowns, and setting countless NFL records. Jim Brown never missed a game in his career, and also never drank water during games, believing it would make him feel satisfied and diminish his drive. And the last player from this group is Larry Zonka.
How?
As a member of the Dolphins' 17-0 perfect season, Zonk's career got off to a rough start with multiple concussions, a ruptured eardrum, a broken nose, but starting in 1970, Larry Zonka didn't miss a game for his next 4 seasons.
Fuck.
Coming in at 6'3", 235 pounds, Larry Zonka was described as a bulldozer or a battering ram, and his running style reminded a lot of people of the aforementioned Bronco Nagurski. From 1971 to 1973, Zonka rushed for over 1,000 yards in each of those seasons and scored 18 touchdowns. He won the Super Bowl VIII MVP, rushing 33 times for 2 touchdowns and 145 yards. As we head into the 1980s, we start with John Riggins, who started his career in the 70s, but had his best season in 1983, rushing for 1,347 yards on 375 attempts and 24 touchdowns. He also led the NFL in rushing the following season at the age of 35, which is just unprecedented longevity.
At 35, it's
playing
crazy.
At 230 pounds, Riggins was the second player ever after Jim Brown to rush for over 100 touchdowns. Then came the Tyler Rose, Earl Campbell, who is the shortest player on this list so far, sitting at 5'11", but played most of his career
5'11", 232 is a stocky build.
At around 230 pounds. Earl Campbell was a monster. If you watch his highlights for literally 10 seconds, you can see that if you played against Campbell, you'd definitely be waking up sore the next day and probably a couple more days after that. As a true power back, Campbell used his body as a weapon. Like he would literally lower his helmet and just truck dudes. To start his career,
this is who Giants fans think Cam Scatterbo is. They think he's fucking Earl Campbell the way he be just headbutting niggas. He's not.
Campbell ran for an incredible 1,450 yards.
Holy Jesus. 2,000 yards in the 1980s is diabolical, Earl.
1,697 yards, and then 1,900.
2,000 yards, 13 tugs on a 5.2 is fucking insane.
134 yards and combined for 45 touchdowns from 1978 to 1980.
Bro.
Now this running style eventually caught up to him, as after his playing career, Campbell unfortunately suffered numerous health issues, which made it difficult for him to walk and eventually needed a cane or a walker or even a wheelchair to go longer distances. Now the last player from this group is by far the heaviest. Coming in at nearly 260 pounds, we have the Nigerian Nightmare, Christian Okoye. Okoye didn't come to the US until he was 21, and he didn't play his first snap of American football until the age of 23. Okoye broke out onto the scene in the 1989 season where he ran for 1,480 yards, 12 touchdowns, and led the league in both attempts and rushing yards. The rest of Okoye's career was marred by injuries, but while he was healthy, Okoye could be seen on any given Sunday running through multiple defenders and also using his 4.45 speed to run past smaller DBs down the sideline.
The nigga was 260, ran a 4.4. What the fuck? What the fuck? The fuck? Ain't no way he ran a 4.4. Nigga, excuse me? A 4.4 at 260 is... ain't no fucking way. Ain't a 4.4, nigga? Fuck out of here. That might be close to the goddamn 100 points. Fuck out of here. A 4.4 is crazy.
Then, as we get into the 1990s and 2000s, we see a group of running backs, all above 240 pounds, that dominated the league with their size and physicality. We've already mentioned Jerome Bettis, Mike Allstott, and Natrone Means. But we also saw players like Steven Jackson, Craig Hayward, Michael Turner, Jamal Lewis, and
Michael Turner. Woo!
Brandon Jacobs. Let's take a look at the career yardage for some of these players. Jerome Bettis, 255 pounds, 13,662 rushing yards, ranking 8th all time. Steven Jackson, 200.
Boy, listen. When the Chargers had a backfield, let me just show you how this backfield. I wish I can go back in time and grab one of them and bring it to the team now, bro. Crazy backfield.
40 pounds, a literal specimen at the running back position. 11,438 rushing yards, ranking 18th all time.
Court, you're not running a 4.5. I'm sorry.
Jamal Lewis, 200.
First of all, I don't think any of us are running a 4.5 or below anything in here. I'm not gonna lie to you. Mainly because we don't have the proper technique. It's a certain way to get off and a certain way to no. Ty, you're not running a 4.5. I'm sorry. You're not running a 4.5. I'm sorry. You're not. I give you a 4.8, 4.9. But I'm sorry. It's when the difference between like a 4.5 and a 4.7 is literally technique. You ran a 4.5. You ain't got down that technique since then. That's what I'm saying. Like it's the whole technique behind it. Like, yeah.
145 pounds, 10,607 rushing yards, ranking 26th all time. These were some big boys running real hard, real fast for a long time. That's the truly craziest thing about these players. If their runs happened in a game of Madden, you'd be losing your mind because you would think that there's no way that could happen in real life. But that was just them, week in and week out. And it's not like these guys were...
No, it's actually the complete opposite. Because Mike Allstott sucks in Madden. All the big backs suck in the game. That's why nobody use them. You can't turn them. You can't do nothing with them. You can't run like...
slow either. Jerome Bettis ran a 4.7, which isn't blazing fast by any means, but at 250 plus pounds, that's a lot of mass moving real fast. Mike Allstott ran a 4.68. Jamal Lewis ran a 4.58. Brandon Jacobs ran a 4.56. Steven Jackson ran a 4.55, and Michael Turner ran a 4.49. Brandon Jacobs was the biggest back on this list, standing at 6'4", weighing 264 pounds. And
well, damn. I don't know why I always thought that nigga was like 5'10", 235. This nigga is 265 and 6'4"?
Has his fair share of moments running over dudes in the league. Jacobs was never afraid to use his size to truck defenders and shake off corners with ease. But Craig Ironhead Hayward, weighing anywhere from 265 to 280 pounds at only 5'11", was just as freaky. He also supposedly got up...
This This nigga was just fat.
To over 300 pounds, but I couldn't confirm if that was fully true or not. Father of Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward.
Bro, he's just fat.
Runner who would run through dudes like they weren't even there. Like, I could not imagine the fear in some sub 200 pound corner trying to tackle Craig Hayward running full speed towards.
He just bitched him. Damn. Hey, you know what's crazy, Danny? I seen this tweet. I'm gonna start saving all the tweets like I always do, but I always forget sometimes. I seen this tweet and the quote was, "He's only here because his brother's here." And it was Connor Hayward doing something stupid. I forget what he did, but I think he had to like block down on a toss play or something, and he didn't block down, and they needed a 360. And he was facing the other line. He was facing the end zone, like the other end zone. And then he turned back around. The play was already done. He was like, some dumb shit.
Your direction.
It was some dumb
Hayward
shit.
also saw success outside of football as he was featured in a series of very notable Zest commercials selling body wash and loofahs. These players were just freaks of nature, and the NFL hasn't seen players like this since the golden era of big running backs. These players were bell cow backs for their teams, not just some short yardage situation players that would come in on 4th and inches or on the goal line. And some of these players, although had incredibly successful NFL careers, have still been somewhat forgotten. I mentioned him earlier, but Jamal Lewis was a monster. He had 7 seasons with over 1,000 rushing yards, had a game where he rushed for 295.
Who forgot about Jamal Lewis? I didn't. Shit.
Yards, and had the third most rushing yards in a single year in the 2003 season, where he went for 2,066 yards. Also, I wanted to shine a spotlight on Michael Turner. Turner's career started off slow, but he broke out onto the scene in 2008 with nearly 1,700 rushing yards, leading the league in attempts, had 17 touchdowns, and tied in second for MVP. Granted, he only received 8% of the votes, tying with Chad Pennington. These big running backs were iconic, but they're also a type of player that we may never see again in our lifetimes.
Nope.
And there's a couple of reasons for that. When a player of this kind of size is coming up through high school and college, sure, they might play running back in high school like Micah Parsons, but they'll eventually decide, or coach will eventually decide for them, to use their size and athleticism to play a more premium position like edge rusher.
Yep.
And not only will their skills and size be more prized in a position like that, but just looking at the largest edge contracts compared to the largest running back contracts, there's no way a young player would want to sacrifice the career earning potential to play a position with a notoriously low shelf life. Now in the 2010s,
between that and they don't even like you got 3-4 years max in the league. Usually. Unless you're one of the top 5 guys. Whereas passers get passed around like fucking nothing. So, yeah.
And we did see a few bigger running backs that had success in the league, like Michael Bush, the cover of Madden 2012.
Michael Bush.
Peyton Hillis. 2 players that played together in Mike Tolbert and Jonathan Stewart, who both lined up in the backfield for Carolina from 2012 to 2016 with a combined weight of 505 pounds. An impressive first 2 seasons from Eddie Lacy, and an 18 touchdown year from LeGarrette Blount. These players were solid, but none of these players were the game-changing runners in the same way that the previous generation had. There were a handful of 1,000-yard seasons between this crop of players, but many of these players suffered through injury issues and inconsistency throughout their playing careers.
Well, hell yeah, because niggas started taking helmets to knees. Hell yeah. These safeties corners ain't finna keep coming at y'all's chest. Hell no, they going for knees.
That's what makes the golden era that much more impressive. Like, Jerome Bettis played for 13 seasons. Steven Jackson played for 12. Jamal Lewis and Michael Turner both played for 9. For players weighing between 200...
Hey, you know what's crazy, bro? If Steven Jackson was on any other winning team, I believe he'd be a Hall of Famer. And I feel like it wouldn't even be a question. I feel like it wouldn't even be like is he? If he was on any other team that was like even just 8, 9, maybe 10 wins a season. I know, I'm saying it wouldn't be a question, but I'm saying it wouldn't be a question. Right now it's a question. If he's on this Pittsburgh team instead of Jerome Bettis, he's in the Hall of Fame easily. Walking in, gold jacket while he's playing. It's fucking crazy, bro. Fucking crazy.
40 and 250 pounds, playing at that high of a level for that long is just crazy to think about. Now at this point, some of you might be thinking, hey, we have Derrick Henry in the league right now. He's 247 pounds and is still playing at an incredibly high level at 31 years old. And of course, Derrick Henry is amazing, and his size is unprecedented, especially in today's NFL. But in my opinion, Derrick Henry isn't the same type of running back that those previous guys were. And that's not to diminish Derrick Henry at all. I mean, he's Derrick Henry. It's enough said. I'm just saying that even though he has a very powerful stiff arm, I wouldn't classify Henry as a power back. And I think this comment puts it perfectly. The big running backs that we saw in the 1990s to the early 2000s.
I can understand what he's saying. I was still okay, you know what? It makes sense. As much as I didn't want to really agree with it, not in the sense of like I just don't want to agree with the nigga, but it makes sense because these power backs, these all-star Okoye's, Jamal Lewis, they ran through you. Like head down, shoulder to your chin. Whereas Henry's like stiff form, he might truck you. You know, he's a beast, you know, he's a beast, don't get me wrong, but I can see why he's saying that. I can.
Were just such a joy to watch. Their running style with those big old pads on was a sight to behold. And as they were shedding tackles on tackles on tackles, you couldn't help but just to get hyped. And even though it's sad that we likely won't see this archetype of player again in the NFL, I'm glad that these players decided to grace us with their big runs, broken tackles, and iconic moments that we get the privilege of reminiscing on.